dominant performance from Barcelona.
Dominant performance indeed. So Barcelona doing what they needed to do to keep pace with Real Madrid. A 3-0 win at their now makeshift home, the Estadio Johan Cruyff, over Getafe. At this moment, let's welcome in form of Barca man himself, Luis Garcia. But Ale Moreno, let me start with you on this one. This really was the Ferran show.
It was. And I suppose it's a question that Hansi Flick can answer, but was he supposed to start today? Or was he only starting because Marcus Rashford was late? Was Lewandowski going to start? And if indeed Lewandowski is going to start, then Marcus Rashford would have been on the left-hand side. What I would say is that given the performances of Ferran Torres, even before today, in my opinion, in my estimation, he has been one of Barcelona's best players and at least most consistent players. He has been their most consistent performer. And so there is a question to be asked. When everybody's healthy, which it wasn't a question that you would ask before, when everybody's healthy, does Ferran play or does Lewandowski play? Because we know that Lamine is going to play, we know that Rafinha is going to play, and then there's a choice to be made by Hansi Flick. It's a great problem to have for Hansi Flick that you have in Lewandowski, a guy that is a proven goal scorer, but you know that he's not going to be able to play every game. And you have in Ferran Torres an answer for an issue that you may have had in the past. Now you have an answer of a guy who can score goals consistently. And given his productivity, right now, he is unbenchable. You have to start Ferran Torres and ride with him because he's hot.
Luis, as Ale is saying, Ferran Torres is looking pretty hot right now. And usually when we're talking about Barcelona's attacking players, all of the spotlight is on the trio that was Rafinha, Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal as well. But Ferran is making a case for him, as Ale said, to be unbenchable at this point.
Yeah, to the point that he's being involved into the games. And it doesn't matter if it's Lewandowski involved or not. They are trying to find a spot for Ferran Torres because he's hot, like Ali is mentioning. His ability to find the right spaces, those runs, the U-turns that he does, trying to go to the blind side of the defenders, get in the back of the defenders. And when he's in front of the goal, something that we always been accusing to Ferran Torres, that he was missing so many chances. Right now, he's full confidence. And Ferran Torres needed a coach that allowed him to make mistakes, that allowed him to make bad runs, allowed him to do bad controls. But right now, he's a Ferran Torres that we haven't seen for quite a long time. He's controlled and his passing is accurate, his movements are fantastic, he's not getting into the offside, he's arriving to the right spot at the right time. So when he's in front of the box, he's clinical. So right now, Ferran Torres, of course, is the number 9 of Football Club Barcelona, no doubt.
So, Luis, to Ale's point now, if you have a fully fit and healthy Barcelona squad, do you start Ferran over Lewandowski?
Right now, yeah, I have no doubt. I mean, if we are going to say that Lamine Yamal is fit, Rafinha is fit, Lewandowski is fit, Ferran Torres, I will go straight away with Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, and Ferran Torres up front because he gives you that intensity is good and his finishing is fantastic. So right now, I have no doubt that I will choose straight away Ferran Torres.
Big call there, Stevie. You enjoyed what you saw from him today.
Well, it's hard to argue when somebody is not only connecting with his teammates, but sticking the ball in the back of the net. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And I think if you're Hansi Flick as well and you're looking to the future, because there's going to come a time when Lewandowski, number one, isn't going to be able to play all the time, and somebody is just going to overtake him. And the question is Ferran Torres getting to the point where he's actually putting himself ahead of Lewandowski? And right now, from what we've seen so far in these 6 games, considering the output, you'd have to say yes.
25 years old, Ale. One for the future, one right now.
One right now. Look, Ferran Torres, I think, has been a divisive player in Barcelona in the past because I think we could all appreciate the work rate, we could all appreciate the movement away from the ball, his runs, how he got himself in really good positions, but the things that he was missing was chances.
Yeah.
Goals, consistency. But in the second half of last year, we started to see a turn. And we started to see when Lewandowski was injured and he was given a run of games and he was scoring goals, it almost felt as if there is something about this player that is different. And what is different is the level of confidence. The way he took the second goal today, while it may have been simple, in years past, a lesser version of Ferran Torres is freaking out in front of David Soria and is not finishing the chance. To Stevie's point, today, in front of David Soria, once he got himself square with the goalkeeper, you felt like there was no doubt, where there was doubt before. And you are not able to pull off that sort of finish in the manner in which he did without confidence, in which he gives the goalkeepers the eyes. He opened up his body and I'm saying, I'm going to go over there to the far post. No, I'm not. I'm actually closing my hips and finding the near post. You don't pull that off unless you're feeling good with yourself. Because when you have pressure on yourself and you're not confident, that's what's happening in front of goal. That's what's happening in front of goalkeepers. You don't quite know what to do, and you just get rid of the ball hoping that it goes in. There's a certainty about how he's playing the game now in front of goal.
How many years ago was it he went to Man City?
Ooh, I don't know. That's
5 years ago?
That's a while back.
That's a while back.
So it's probably been 5 years since he's had a proper run of game.
Yeah.
He's never actually been in a position, in a situation where he's been able to get some time in his legs, get his composure, get his confidence, all of those things that you have to get in order to produce what you're capable of. He's only now getting that time, and he's shown what he's capable of. So take it. If you're Barcelona, you better take advantage of it.
Well, I know that it was a Ferran Torres show, Ale, but we also enjoyed what we saw from Dani Olmo, of course, providing the assist, but then getting a goal himself today. He definitely did himself a world of good.
And it's a player that has been saying, hey, what about me?
You?
Hey, how about this guy? How about, do I get a chance to play? You think about what are the options for Hansi Flick, and we go back to a point that I just made. It's a great problem to have. If Fermin Lopez is not feeling himself this week, Dani, you want to play? Yeah, I want to play. Hey, if Dani is not feeling himself, Ferran, you want to play? Yeah, I want to play. This is where we are with Barcelona. All these guys are elevating each other's performances in the attacking half. And if they do that with consistency, then you have options everywhere. That is a great problem to have.
Great problem to have indeed for Hansi Flick, Luis. And in terms of Dani Olmo, as Ale said, he did a world of good for himself today.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you have to do. You cannot think. You have to show your talent, give the team what is expected from you, good runs, good combination, good link up between midfielders and Lewandowski today. And if you have the chance, just put it in the back of the net, because as Alex is mentioning, this is a squad full of talent. It is a squad full of quality, and there are a lot of players who are waiting for the opportunity to shine. Let's not forget, Gavi is not there, and he's a player who also started playing in that position, that role as a second striker, link up with the middle of the park. Of course, the rotation is going to be fantastic. Once again, we see Marc Asado, of course, with Frankie de Jong and Pedri in top form. They are going to be the ones to choose every single weekend. But at least you have that ability to change the situation of the game, change different players, because they are going to give you something extra. Dani Olmo gives you that ability to score goals. Today, once again, the score, of course, is going to be in the mind of Hansi Flick. But the way the Fermin Lopez is performing lately, it's going to be difficult to take his position right now.
Well, it was a perfect day for Barcelona, almost a perfect week for Barcelona, but it didn't start out that way when we got the news that Marcus Rashford, after his heroics against Newcastle in the Champions League, was dropped to the bench for showing up late at training. Stevie, I'm going to come to you for this one, because we already saw Hansi Flick is a stickler for punctuality. He wasn't afraid to drop the captain, Rafinha, last time out. And now Marcus Rashford, who, let's just say, has a history of doing this, even at Manchester United. You, as a former coach yourself, this just absolutely incenses you, doesn't it?
Well, it drives you insane. And this one is worse because of what happened last week with Rafinha. You know, if there was a lesson to be learned, it was last week. If you don't toe the line, then you're going to be dropped. So what does Rashford do? Turns up late. I mean, it's completely disrespectful to everybody else. On your day off, you can do what you want, be on time, don't be on time. It doesn't matter, because that's your time. But when you have to turn up for a meeting or get on the bus or whatever it is as a team, then what you're doing is, it's not about you, you're respecting everybody else. That's what you're doing. You're respecting their time. So when you turn up late, that's what you've done. You've disrespected your teammates. And so, if you're not invested that much in your team that you turn up late, what happens on the field of play? You don't do it there either. So that's why, if you can look through history, all the best teams, all the teams that win, do every single thing together. And some people think it's a rah-rah thing, you know, we do everything together. It's true, because when it's tough on the field, all that stuff comes through. The guy that's standing next to you is the most important thing. You're not the most important thing, it's the guy next to you. And so if you can be late for a simple thing like a meeting or training or a boss, then all it does, it reflects on what you think of the guy standing next to you.
Well, last week when we saw it with Rafinha, he responded by scoring a pair of goals himself. That was the reaction that you'd want and expect from the club captain. Marcus Rashford didn't sulk on the bench today. He did get an assist. He did look quite lively in the second half. Is that the reaction you'd want?
I don't want to take too much away, because at the end of the day, he did do some good things.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you have the ability that Rashford has, and the pace and everything else, you love coming on when the game's done. It's 2-0 at half-time. The game's over.
Handle the success that you had on the field by doing something very basic. Show up on time.
Be first.
Yes. Hey, in fact, be excited
yeah.
to be at training, because you know what? You want everybody to tell you, hey, great goals. You were awesome. Yay, all right, Marcus. Hey, Marcus. Yes, be first. Handle the success by showing up on time. I cannot believe we're still having conversations about this. This is so very basic. And so build on the momentum that you generated midweek against Newcastle by showing up on time, being part of the starting squad, and continue to build this momentum forward. Push yourself forward and your career at Barcelona. You're only trying to help yourself. I'm rooting for you, Marcus, to help yourself. But I can't help you if you show up late. If you're late, you're off. Simple as that.
Simple as that. So once again, Atletico Madrid heading out and not getting the result they wanted. Diego Simeone looking like a frustrated figure, and this is why. Atletico Madrid finding themselves in 12th in the current La Liga standings. On the bottom half of the table is where we had to scroll to show you guys. So we're going to go to Luis Garcia, because as much as he is a former Barca man, he is also a former Atletico de Madrid man. Luis, I want to talk about Julian Alvarez's reaction when he got substituted off. Of course, it was a frustrating day for him, considering he missed that penalty. But still, how much are we to read into what he was saying?
We have to read as far as what we saw. That is, Julian Alvarez, he didn't do any kind of complaint with the hands or any kind of make it look bad to Simeone, or he's just frustrated because he was changed, and because he hasn't been the first time during the season. He's been benched a couple of times already, a few more actually. I think he's been 4 substituted in the last minute. So he's feeling that when the things are not going well, he's the first one to pay pick to be out of the game. And let's not forget, the price tag of Julian Alvarez when he arrived, he's the main star. Once Griezmann moved on the side to have a different role, he was going to be the main man, the player who this Atletico Madrid rely on. Be substitute every single time that Atletico Madrid's got problems. So right now, it's all about trying to keep calm, trying to talk with the manager, see if they can find a way of understanding. But of course, it has to be frustrated. And for Atletico Madrid, in a tough moment, Julian Alvarez is a key player.
Yeah, we just saw those stats there. Only one Salah was he getting the full 90. Right to be frustrated.
He missed a penalty, right? You don't want to be taken off, score the penalty. It really is literally on you. Now, you can be frustrated if you want to, and what I would suggest to Julian Alvarez, and it's something that I guess people nowadays do constantly as players, put your hand over your mouth. Because I guess we have lip readers everywhere that are going to see and say, oh, he said siempre a mí. That must mean that he's talking about Diego Simeone, and I'm always the guy that is taken off. So, look, Julian, clearly, all you have to do to satisfy everybody's needs and wants, siempre a mí. Siempre a mí. Always me. Siempre a mí. Siempre a mí. Nobody can say anything. apparently that's where we need to get to. Breaking news. A player gets taken off, he's frustrated, and he's angry, and thinks that it's somehow an agenda against him. Any player that has ever been taken off the field anywhere around the world would think exactly the same thing, and I would hope that they would think exactly the same thing, because nobody wants to come off the field. If you find somebody who's actually saying, hey, good decision, Diego, buena, bien, then that guy cannot be part of your group. Come on, man.
1-1 is how it ended, both teams having to share the points. Now let's hear from Mikel Arteta after the game.
I think it's very clear what we wanted to do. Very well we started the game. I think we completely dominated. I think after they scoring the goal without doing absolutely nothing before that, we were a bit shaky for 5 or 7 minutes, and after that we still got grip of the game again and start to dominate it. And the second half it was a continuation of that with one different player and then with 2 or 3 different players.
Could you just talk us through your thinking behind that midfield three?
No, we don't have time for that. There's a lot of things to do that.
But just a very basic analysis of what you thought that midfield three could do instead of maybe with
Because I thought it was the best one to start the game.
Okay, Ed,
Nobody asked me about the midfield three in Bilbao. Nobody.
Well, I guess it's
Yeah.
it's a different game.
Yeah, that's why. But it's the same midfield.
So why did you keep it?
Because I believe it was the best thing for the team.
All right, Mikel Arteta, they're looking a bit touchy there. Anyways, here is the top half of the Premier League standings. Ultimately, the team that benefited from this result the most was Liverpool. Arsenal there, 5 points behind the Reds. At this point now, let's welcome in Jan Åge Fjørtoft as well as Julian Laurens to speak about this one. But Stevie, I'm going to have to start with you. We just heard from Mikel Arteta. I did say he seemed a bit touchy there when they asked about his midfield. But overall, what did you make of his comments?
To be honest, the only comment I'm interested in is the midfield three.
Exactly.
You know, at the end of the day, he can talk all he wants about how they dominated and this and that, but he started the game to be strong. He didn't start the game to go and win the game. He just wanted to be strong. Instead of starting the game trying to win it, he was cautious.
Yeah.
You can't go and win the Premier League if you don't. You've got to go and win it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. You have to step on the field and use all the quality in the players you have to go and actually win the thing and get to the top of the table. And look at this lineup. You've got a guy like Eze sitting on the bench. Are you telling me that Moreno in the middle of the park is better than Eze?
Or Merino.
Or Marino.
Easy mistake.
Oh, you were playing that.
That would have been a really tough decision by Arteta, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
And even if you want to go with his nonsense about, well, they were good in midweek, are you telling me Eze shouldn't be playing ahead of Trossard? I mean, it just makes no sense. It just shows that he was cautious. And it's backfired because it took them to make the changes in the second half. Madueke wasn't well. That's why Saka came on so early. And then he brings Eze on. And surprise, surprise, who plays that ball in behind for Martinelli from the middle of the park? Eze. I mean, there's your answer. There's what you got wrong. He should have started the game, should have started in the middle, and if not the middle, should have started in the wide areas. I mean, it's okay to start making forward substitutes when you've no choice, when you're behind. How about you go and win the game and let the opposition have all the problems, not bring it all on yourself? So, yeah, I think Arsenal got this 100% wrong and only have themselves, and actually Arteta only has himself to blame for starting the wrong team.
Jules, we speak about this now that Arsenal finally have all the players, the recruits, the squad to go after and win the big trophies. Talking about the Premier League, talking about the Champions League. And these games at home are the games that they need to win. Do you feel like he was too cautious in his approach to this one today too?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. It was all about that control. We said that after the Liverpool game away, and we were all of us on the show too. And this is why this midfield is often used by him, especially when Odegaard is out. Well, he has other options, definitely, as we've just explained, and as we saw when he made those changes at half-time. The problem when you have this kind of midfield there with less creativity, obviously, which could be a problem because against the City team that struggles sometimes between the lines defensively, then there was nobody to hit there. Rice was playing deeper, Marino can't really play in that number 10 role on the half space on the right. So then you're left with you go down after 9 minutes and you don't really react because you can't create enough outside of Madueke, basically. And that's all that happened in the first half. The second half with Saka and Eze was obviously different. There was more variation. They put more pressure. They were higher up the pitch. And then there was even Martinelli and more changes. But it's true that you can go for control. It's no problem. You lack creativity, okay, but you can still win games, as we saw at Bilbao. The problem is when you find yourself one goal down against then the team that will refuse to play like City did, quite surprisingly in a way today, and just is happy to defend, then the lack of creativity becomes a problem.
Yeah, and you were at this game. What did you make of how Mikel Arteta handled it?
Well, it was a heavy night for everybody after the game as well, because there were two different managers, but same kind of approach to the game. Because it was quite interesting, because as we saw on the stats, I mean, who could believe, to be a bit devil's advocate, that Arsenal will have 66-34 in ball possession against Manchester City? You have to ask yourself, did City come there just to get that point? And it's funny to see that Arsenal don't create anything. We talked about this before. We saw that in Liverpool, and we've seen also stats that after the 22-23 season, if you compare the stats, wins and points and goals scored, goals conceded, Manchester City and Arsenal are similar. But the problem is that Manchester City have won 2 Premier League titles and 6 major trophies. So I think that when we talk about Arsenal, we talk about the way you need to risk something to win something. And I don't think Arteta do that. And I also think when Arteta tried to explain us that in interviews, or when he tries to explain us that in press conference, he is a bit annoyed that he doesn't go all the way. So I think that is the fact. Just some fun fact I will just give you. Just after the game, I spoke to Erling Haaland about that first goal when Reinders get the ball, and Erling told me that he was running after Reinders, and he said, wait. so he could pass him to get him in the right position. It's just a fun fact there, where we are so depressed of Arsenal not risking.
Just to the point that the guys are making now, when you look at Arsenal, and yes, they did get the draw in the end, but because they're the ones that got the late goal, it kind of feels like a victory of sorts. But overall,
for whom?
Was this an opportunity missed for them?
Yeah, no, this doesn't feel like a victory for Arsenal at all. A draw better than a loss, but not a victory. And yes, is it a missed opportunity? Of course it is. See, the expectations for Arsenal are to be at the top of the table with Liverpool, not 5 points behind after 5 matches. And that's objectively where we are. Now, we can talk about the midfield 3 and the approach. Were they cautious? Did they not go after Manchester City? Should they have been more aggressive? I think to further the point and to make it actually more tangible, 35 minutes in, Arsenal hadn't really created clear goal-scoring opportunities. And while they had most of the possession and they had most of the ball, they weren't exactly goal dangerous, to the point that stadium felt almost like, okay, when are we going to get going? Because we want to get behind you, but you got to give us a reason to get behind you. We want to create this environment, but show us something. And the one player that was showing you something consistently was Noni Madueke, that every time he touched the ball, it was like, okay, I'm going to take a player on. I'm going to do something. Felt like he was the one player over the course of the first 35 minutes, and certainly over the course of the first 45 minutes, that had that intent. As the latter part of that first half went on, you began to see a shift in the way that Arsenal approached the game. And some of that shift came from the fact that Manchester City decided that, you know what, we are not going to go press over there. We're not going to go press over here. We're going to sit right here. And Manchester City, it's very surprising to see this, given what we have seen from Manchester City in years past and what we're used to watching. Was it Pep Guardiola coaching this team, or was it Jose Mourinho coaching this team? Because it was the approach of a Mourinho team. And the only reason I don't say this is Mourinho-esque, it's because Mourinho would have seen the game out 1-0 and they would have gotten 3 points out of it. What you saw from Manchester City at times is that whenever they even regained possession of the ball, they were not even looking to complete the first pass out. They were just clearing it to anywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere would work. And that allowed Arsenal to have not only all the possession, but have all the momentum because they no longer had the threat that was present in the goal by Erling Haaland. Once that threat went away and they're now just kicking the ball anywhere, Arsenal are just building momentum on top, and eventually the stadium got behind Arsenal. The approach, yes, was not courageous enough, but the attitude itself of the group of not recognizing, man, these guys are barely hanging on. Let's get after them. Mm-hmm. You could feel it through the television screen. I have to imagine that the players have to feel it on the field as well.
I mean, just looking at that graphic, Stevie, it pretty much confirms what Ali was saying. It's almost, you're wondering if this is Pep Guardiola's Manchester City that we're watching. It's not just today's game. We saw in the game against Manchester United, they just had about over 40% possession. In this one, 36. It's like, is this really Pep Guardiola's Manchester City? But it's working for them.
I have to say that after this game, I had a strange feeling of respect for Guardiola.
Mm-hmm. Because finally he's found that plan B.
Well, because what he did was he coached the way the game was going. They were 1-0 up, and he could see that it was pointless having any forwards because they weren't getting the ball. So you know what? Let's get some strength on, and let's just hold on. And he did it. You know, none of this, I'm sticking to my principles and all. You know, we hear all that nonsense all the time about, if we're going to lose doing it my way and all this. No, he actually coached the game the way it needed to be. Because there wasn't any point in keeping Phil Foden on the field. I was a little unsure with the Haaland one because defensively he's good in the air. But he just went, you know what? Forget all the tactics, forget all these great coaching things I've been doing for 15 years, whatever it is. This is good old-fashioned defence. Get some big guys on, get some bodies on, let's shut up shop. Now, unfortunately, they didn't quite do it, they almost did it. But I got to say, big respect. That's what coaching's about. You've got to coach for what's happening at that time, and he did it.
And it's what we criticized Pep Guardiola last season, and seeing that the team did not have the tools to do the things that they had done in the past, change, adjust. And it's what we saw today. But even as I agree with you, Steve, it's still jarring to see 5 defenders across the back line of Manchester City and see the 4 midfielders in front of them. I know, but like I said, the first thing I said is that I agree with you. But to see Ake and Stones and Ruben Diaz, I thought Vincent Kompany was going to come back. I thought Pablo Zabaleta was going to come back.
Oh,
hey,
Pablito.
is Akanji still here? They were bringing everybody behind the ball. It's what the game called for, but it's still, when you have the image of what Manchester City has been in the past, it's still a contrast that it's hard to get used to.
Jan?
I worked at this game, so after the game, I had to speak to Pep Guardiola, and we all saw that it was the deepest way he had played with a team since he coached under 17 back in Barcelona, I guess. So I went into them and asked him, what happened? That was a tactical, you were so deep. And then he looked at me, have you not seen the Arsenal transfer window? Have you not seen the players they've signed? They have a brilliant manager, they have a brilliant coach, and so on. And it was like unbelievable how sharp he was on that. I don't think he wanted to play that deep. I think he was play deep. There were times in this game, Erling Haaland played a sweeper, a libero for them. It was unbelievable. And we should be aware in our show, where sometimes when Arteta did that, I was on the show, remember back in the days, yes, there were 10 players. When they played at Etihad, we had to go at Arsenal to being too deep. And now we are giving compliment to Pep to being that deep. So I think we have to go both ways here. I think that yes, it was good to see. Yeah, no. That's what I hope. It would be so boring if we agree on everything. So I'm just saying that they were played very, very deep. And I think that, yes, it was a plan B. It was good to see Pep doing that. I think he would have been happy, would just scrap that 1-0. But let's just make sure that he didn't try to do that. He was played deep in this game.
No, he was played deep, yeah. There's no way he wants to be that deep. But the way his team was playing, they were being forced to be that deep. But my respect is coming from a situation where he understood that that wasn't changing. And so he took the situation as it was and did what he thought was the best thing to do. So he takes his forwards off and gets his trees and sticks them right in the middle of the thing. That's that for a guy who's done what he's done. The way his teams have played, you think of the Barcelona team, you think of City at the best. For a guy to just turn around and go, right, okay, we're getting the trees on. Stick them there,
yeah, but
and nobody gets past.
Fair enough, Steve.
That was my point.
I understand your point, but still, we see Pep Guardiola, who has had a dream back in his heydays and saying that he wanted 100% ball possession, and this time he was on 34 against Arsenal. So there's not only a good sign, and yes, he tried to get it over the line. And by the way, Erling Haaland asked to go out. Pep told us that he was asked to go out because he was tired, and he talked about Pep as well with his Manchester derby and then Napoli game, and now they're playing Arsenal. So was a tough period, but I mean, it is a bit surprising, and it's amazingly when we follow the coaching career of Pep Guardiola that he has a ball possession of 3-4. He must never have had that in his whole life.
Jules, I know it's been far from perfect performances from Liverpool, but they are perfect in the Premier League. They just keep finding a way. They are 5 points ahead of Arsenal now. Do you have any concerns about Arsenal's ability to catch up to them?
Yeah, of course. I think we should all have, because when you're 5 points behind after 5 games, that's already a lot of points. And they've played Liverpool already once. That was at Anfield. They would have a return fixture at the Emirates, where I guess at home you can make up a little bit of that gap. But 5 points in 5 games is already quite a lot, really. And Liverpool will get better. We've been saying that since the start of the season, because they are just too good to keep playing the way they are. At some point, the new players will be properly settling in. They'll have so many options on the bench, tactically, a lot of things that Slot can do. So I think that's quite worrying that after 5 games, you're 5 points behind if you're Arsenal, you're 8 points behind if you're City already. That's quite a lot now.
All right, here's how things are looking in the Ligue 1. This is the top 10. PSG, they're out at front. Nobody would be surprised with that. Marseille down in 8th. We talk about these two teams because they were due to play. We know how big of a rivalry this is, but the game was postponed because of rain. And now it has been rescheduled for the same time as the Ballon d'Or ceremony tomorrow. Yes, indeed. Both things will be going on at the same time. Now, we know that this is a topic of interest because Ousmane Dembele is obviously the favorite when we just look at those odds ahead of Lamine Yamal to win the Ballon d'Or. So, Jules, we know that Dembele has been dealing with an injury, but with this game going on and the Ballon d'Or ceremony, where are we going to see him?
He will be in Paris for the Ballon d'Or ceremony. I think quite a lot of the PSG people and hierarchy have decided to be in Paris and not in Marseille. They wanted to play the game early tomorrow at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. maybe, so they could have done both. But the league refused, and the league insisted for the kickoff to be at the normal evening time, if you want, like it would have been tonight, for example. So they can't be at 2 places at the same time, obviously. So I think they will go to be with Dembele because, as you said, and we saw the odds, it's likely, I think, that he will win the Ballon d'Or.
All right, well, now let's get into the predictions for the Ballon d'Or. Stevie Nichol's been waiting for this segment. Jan, I'm going to start with you so Stevie can have some more time to think about this. Lamine Yamal or Dembele? Who gets your nod?
Ooh, that is a hard to start one. I can't follow the wave, so to say. Dembele, I think, will get it. So I go Dembele.
Okay, so he's in the Luis Garcia book of Dembele supporters. Ale, I know you made a passionate plea for Lamine Yamal in our pre-show for Barcelona's game.
First of all, when you say passionate, I'm not that committed to the Ballon d'Or, but
no.
If I were voting, I would vote for Lamine Yamal. Nothing against Ousmane Dembele, I would vote for Lamine Yamal. And if in all honesty, if I'm thinking about the best player from PSG, because indeed they won Champions League and we think of them as the most successful team last season, I would probably vote from Vitinha ahead of Ousmane Dembele. There you go. That's just me. I see the game differently, I guess.
Ooh, Stevie,
Oh.
you've had some time to let it marinate.
Well, it's Dembele. It's not. It's the old argument. Are you just going to pick the best player? Or is it about what actually happens between a certain period of time? I mean, that's really the question.
Yeah.
And generally, it's what happens between a certain period of time, and so you have to go with Dembele. You know, if you're picking a team tomorrow, who's your first pick? You're going to pick Yamal. But the fact is that the way the Ballon d'Or is and what it's about, and the reasons behind why people win it, then you've got to go with Dembele. And I don't mean that to sound as though he's not deserving of it. Because, quite frankly, the comeback this guy's had is sensational. I mean, what age is he? 28, 29? How many years has he been hanging about, turning up late, not producing? You know, I know I certainly thought that this guy's just one of those, he'll turn up for 5 games and then he'll disappear again. Well, he didn't. So, I'm going with Dembele.
Jules, let me come to you because I know you have Gab and Jules to do tomorrow, but are you jumping on a train and heading to the Ballon d'Or ceremony as well? And who's your pick and why is it Dembele?
Yeah, Dembele for me. I'm the best player of the best team, in the world on that period, like Stevie said. So I think he will deserve it. I think he will win it, and I think it's well deserved.
Chelsea's actually the world champions, just to remind you.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but Jules, don't give us short answers. You have to do a Stevie Nicol. You have to mention every player in Europe, and then you will end up with Dembele.
Listen, that's why we pay Stevie the big bucks. But Jules, I know Gab and Jules, a fresh episode is dropping tomorrow. Tell us who you're with, since Gab is going to be here in studio with us, and what we can expect.
Yeah, so it's the legend Stuart Robson who will be with me tomorrow to go through the show.
So you'll get a chance to talk. That's good, Jules. That's good. That's a positive.
Oh, my days. Well, thank you so much, as always, to Julian Laurens. And make sure to tune into, as I said, a fresh episode of the Gab and Jules show. Without Gab, it's going to be Jules and Stuart Robson. It drops tomorrow. All right, like I said, our game of the day in La Liga. Barcelona up against Getafe. A straightforward win for the Catalan Giants. Ferran Torres with 2 goals. Dani Olmo with a goal as well, and an assist to Torres' first goal. Here's Dani Olmo. But first, let's hear from the manager, Hansi Flick.
Last Thursday, Marcus Rashford scored 2 goals. Ferran today, 2 goals more. How important is for you to have these kind of players on fire?
Of course, it's very important. So we have a lot of matches every third, fourth days, and so it's really good to have everyone on this performance.
That assist to Ferran, it's very important against Getafe to get that early goal. So with that back heel, how do you manage to do that?
No, I saw him coming from my back. Maybe the touch I got a little bit on the side, but it was perfect to open the space for him, and at the end he scored a really good goal. So I'm very happy for him that he could keep scoring as he always do.
Okay, well, you don't have to wait long at all for some more La Liga action on ESPN. Tuesdays when things kick off, you can see Levante will be hosting Real Madrid. I will be on that pre-show alongside Craig Burley. Wednesday, we've got Atletico de Madrid, who have a world of work to do up against Rayo Vallecano, but at least they'll be at home. And then Thursday, Barcelona will be back in action against Real Oviedo.
Whose idea was that?
Who? To show Onana's goal.
It didn't really work out.
His assistant.
Yeah.
It was our great producer, Mike. Do you want to have a word with Mike?
It just didn't quite work out, did it? Mike, let's be honest.
What, do you think it was my idea?
Well, that's why
just because it was Onana?
I wasn't sure, because you were so pushing it. I thought, this must have been your idea.
Well, honestly, if I were to show a highlight, it probably wouldn't be of one of a current United player doing better, allegedly, away from United.
Yeah.
right?
So, yeah, because that's a long list.
That's a very long list, and we keep seeing it.
Scott McTominay, how you doing?
Rasmus Højlund, how you doing? Anyways, Jan Fjørtoft is joining us, so let's get right into it.
I didn't play for Manchester United, so I've had a bad day.
Oh, Jan, you always have great days. Although you're a little hoarse, were you yelling at the Arsenal game?
Yes, I had one of those weekends. I did 2 games yesterday. I went to Liverpool. I did Liverpool-Everton. Then I went down M62. I did Manchester United-Chelsea. And after the games, it's the worst rain you've seen in the history of raining in UK, and that tells you a lot. And I was standing there waiting for a taxi that never arrived. And I was the wettest man since last time I was in Manchester. So, and then I went to Arsenal today. So that's why I have this sexy Joe Cocker style of voice.
Hello. I thought it was just because you were screaming after Erling Haaland's goal today.
You're going to sing us a song now,
Good old Joe Cocker.
With a little help from my friends.
We'll be your backup
Man,
singers,
I did not have Joe Cocker making the show today.
All right, let's get into the first question, shall we? Arteta started with 4 centre-backs and 3 defensive midfielders. Is Arteta to blame for being too conservative with his approach? And will he always be Pep's assistant? Ouch.
Ouch, ouch. I went out to...
Sorry, go on, Jan. Go on.
No, I went out in the street today and asked fans about this, about will Arteta ever win a title, or is it better that he plays well and everything? So there was this guy, he was from India, and he traveled all over the world to see his dear Arsenal. And he said, I love Arsenal, I love the way we play and everything, and blah, 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 blah. I so support Arteta. And then I asked him, but would Pep win the league with his team? And then he looked at me and said, of course. So he's killed his own argument. So I think you have to risk something, but sometimes I think we are a bit harsh on them because they dominated the game against Manchester City today, and we talked about that in the show as well. You not often see Pep Guardiola being so played off the park in terms of being so deep.
Yeah, but you know what they say, you don't get trophies for dominating the park.
Hey, by the way, no wonder that Jan is losing his voice. He's going around London talking to Arsenal fans after the game.
Not in London conditions, Jan, late at night. Come on.
With a microphone.
Oh, geez.
The traffic as well.
The traffic from the Emirates, too. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, the next question is also about Arsenal and Mikel Arteta, so let me get to it as well. Isn't Arteta's approach against Manchester City today playing for the draw instead of going for the jugular, and that's the exact reason why he won't win the league? Are we calling it already?
He wasn't playing for the draw. I don't think.
No.
I don't think that was really certainly wasn't my point. He just wasted too much time before he tried to win the game. Try and win the game from the kick-off. Don't wait till half-time. Especially against a team that ends up, whether it's Man City or anybody else, a lot of the time at home, Arsenal are going to be up against this situation. So you can't afford to waste 45 minutes because when it's so congested, there's no space, and certainly when you don't have any players on the field that are capable of opening it up, then you're going to make it tough for yourself. So, yeah, he didn't play for the draw. But not going for the jugular.
I think they missed.
Absolutely, it was a problem.
I think that especially today, I'm not saying that just because he's a fellow countryman, but I think a game like this, Stevie, and we talked a lot how deep they were, they missed Martin Ødegaard. Because that is Martin Ødegaard's big strength, to open small, tight areas. So I think they missed him today as well.
We didn't mention this in the show, and it's not part of the question, but it's something that I think it's worth talking about. How about the sprint of Erling Haaland?
Yeah.
When he starts even with Gabriel, and he gets going, and it's like Gabriel wasn't even there. Erling Haaland goes on to score the goal. Gabriel is still like...
Still catching up.
And we think of Gabriel as a top-line defender, which he is. But in the moment in which they started running, side by side, that didn't last. That side-by-side was done in about 10 yards. Erling Haaland was gone. And then to top that off, it's one thing to have the speed, But then to top that off with the quality of the finish, that was impressive from Erling Haaland. And when you see that happening, as much as he's able to run in behind, it actually plays into the hands of Manchester City being more conservative in the way that they play and getting out on the counter, because he can give you that. And when you see that mismatch in speed, it's just a shame that Manchester City was not able to actually exploit that more often, because they weren't able to complete the first pass out of pressure, which would allow then Haaland to get in behind.
Good point.
It's because like 3 of Gabriel's strides equate to 1 of Erling Haaland's strides.
Well, I don't know, but
yeah.
I'm a track and field expert. That's what Usain Bolt used to say.
Okay.
It's true, because he's so tall, he's so long, his reach, he's like a cheetah. He spends more time in the air. And maybe Erling Haaland's the same.
What's your specialty in track and field?
Well, I come from a track and field nation, but I just was very slow. I'm the slowest Jamaican you will find.
All right.
I was good at swimming.
I love Usain Bolt. I love Usain Bolt. He came to Norway to try to play football. He didn't get a contract, but he still was very quick. But Erling Haaland today, as well, as we said in the show, when he was going up there, he was shouting, wait. And the funny thing is, when Manchester City are so deep, he can really play out his strength because there's so much space. And I'm with Ali. If they found they found it one time in second half, remember, when he should maybe have played Foden. I'm not sure about the angles 100%, but as we were seeing the forward position, maybe he should, but normally he scores on those. But there's so much space for him to take advantage of, and Manchester City didn't take advantage of that big space today.
Yes, indeed. When he takes off like that, good luck. It's a courtesy run at that point. You see courtesy dives, you just courtesy run with him.
Is he quicker than Usain Bolt? Is he quicker than Usain Bolt?
You know, we're going to have them run, although I think Usain probably has a couple of years on him now.
Yeah.
Still beat him.
I think he'd still beat him. I'm backing my countryman. Next question, shall we? Looking at this one's for Jan. Jan, will you be attending the Ballon d'Or tomorrow evening?
No, I'm not invited. I can't believe it. Not even nominated, not invited, and nothing.
That's
so
rude.
I'm not. No. So I was sitting with Craig Burley and throwing cheese pops or anything. I will do nothing at all.
No, get yourself a hot toddy. Yeah.
Yes.
Sort that cold out.
Exactly.
Sort that cold out. Or call our Frank Leboeuf. He's got friends in high places at France Football. I'm sure he can copy an invite.
I would also suggest, Jan, just for the future, that if you have a day off, I don't know why your first choice was to spend it with Craig Burley.
Oh, sorry.
We're losing Jan. We're gonna plow through these because poor Jan's fading.
I was just thinking of that. Hello, I have a bad day. Is Craig Burley at home? No, I agree.
Oh well, Craig, we will be back indeed. Next question
we
now.
love Craig.
Looking at Ferran Torres' performance objectively since Hansi Flick took over, isn't he making a strong case to be Lewandowski's successor as Barcelona's number 9? Is this a simple yes, Ale?
Well, right now it is a simple yes, but it doesn't mean that Lewandowski doesn't have a role in this team. It just means that Ferran Torres is playing at that high of a level that while Lewandowski's been nursing an injury, Ferran Torres has come in and has been outstanding, productive, moving with the ball, moving without the ball, playing underneath, playing on the side, and beyond Lewandowski when he plays alongside Lewandowski. Look, if your job as a striker is to take advantage of goal-scoring opportunities, to make yourself available in the build-up as a hold-up player, to run in behind with little diagonal movement, to find movement off the shoulder of defenders, if that's the definition of what a striker should do, Ferran Torres is doing all of those things at a very high level right now. So right now, the answer is you stick with Ferran Torres.
Love that. Next question. It's for Jan again. Jan, being an unbiased person from Norway, unbiased, eh? Who should Arteta play at the 10 when everyone is healthy, Eze or Odegaard?
It's like when your wife asks you,
I know where this is going.
Which person would you like to be on an island with alone? A, me, B. So I would go Odegaard straight away, yeah, absolutely.
Is that Jan being unbiased?
No. I'm not unbiased at all. Yes, I do love Ødegaard, and I see the quality of the essay. We saw that with a fantastic pass today to Martinelli. Looks like a quarterback for NFL, by the way. But Martin Ødegaard, as Arsenal is playing, we have been talking through the whole show, and one of the answers today, that they can't seem to get away through a wall. The best player in the Premier League to find a place in a hole and a defense that is, or a team that is very deep, is Martin Ødegaard. Don't forget the past. Don't forget when he's at his best. Unfortunately, for now, the whole Norwegian nation is praying that he will be back because we have a chance to get to a World Cup.
Oh dear, it's all falling apart with Jan today. We need to let Jan go and have a hot toddy.
Somebody wants you gone.
Someone wants you gone. I think his vocal cords are saying, "Get me out, Gaffer."
Hey,
all right, let's go to the final question.
You bring up Craig Burley. That's what happens.
That's what happens. Craig's ghost is looking at us. Final questions for Stevie. Stevie, why are the Patriots so bad? This is the football that I don't know anything about,
well,
so I'm going to defer
I have
to
to
you.
tell you, I'm one of those fair weather fans. When I was
a glory hunter.
When I was at the Revs, obviously we were in the same building. We played in Gillette Stadium. So I used to go to the games. I used to know all the players. I used to know all the results.
And you were always winning.
I used to go to the game, the whole thing.
And you were always winning.
But since I left Boston and came to Connecticut, I just lost complete touch with it. So I couldn't give you any sort of analytical answer other than the crap.
That's pretty much. Al is our resident NFL expert.
That's about as much as my knowledge.
I would ask you this, Stevie. What departure you think was more significant? Tom Brady leaving the Patriots, Bill Belichick leaving the Patriots, or you leaving the organization?
Stevie.
Well, I think it's easy. The first answer is obviously myself.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And things fell apart since then.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, Tom Brady is the answer. Because it doesn't matter how good a coach you are. The guys on the field, if they're not up to it, then there's not a lot you can do. You can only give them instruction and help them. You can't actually do it for them. So I'd have to say Tom Brady.
I still think it's Stevie Nicol.
I still think it's Stevie Nicol, even though I don't know anything about NFL.
Stevie Nicol from Norway and England as well.
There you go. All right. Well, that's it for Extra Time, guys.
All right.
We will be back on the show tomorrow. Dan Thomas will be here and Gab Marcotti as well as Craig Burley.
What about Jan? No? Okay.
I'm going for a toddy.